From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, the path to the playoff. Can't go to the playoff if you don't start 2-0. We'll talk about the Florida State LSU victory, put the cap and the bow on it, and look ahead to Florida State's season. Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com. That is the website. Pull out the phone, camera app, QR code, snap it. Go right to the website, place your order. You can grab it at the bar, head on your merry way, or hang out with some awesome people over the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. And the dollar special still running, I guess, huh, Corey? $1. What are you waiting for, everybody? Come on. They're 2-0. Fall in love again.
And just judging from the numbers, a lot of you have. We've gotten, you guys have been awesome for the whole month. But, yeah, weirdly saw a bit of a spike in membership.
Oh, yeah.
After the win over LSU. On YouTube, the subscribers. By the way, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, if you listen to this on YouTube and you're not subscribed, or even if you are subscribed, or even if you don't listen to it on YouTube.
No, come on, listen. No, Corey, we can't ask them to do everything.
No,
if you already listen to us,
too.
If you already listen to us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page.
Yeah. Even if you don't listen to us, though, go subscribe. It all helps. It all goes to the same. It all helps. It all helps.
I'm not going to ask you
it
folks
helps
to
Florida State.
I'm not going to ask you folks to do all that. I'm
going to demand
the website, though. It's only $1.
I'm going to demand it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's $1 for the. Don't know how much longer it's going to last because the interest has shot upwards, which is awesome, which is exactly what we needed. So man, that was It was a big win for a lot of reasons. I might have lost some money on the bet on the game, but that's how I do. That's how I spend my life. I bet against the Braves too, and I got a World Series out of it. So on Sunday, I might have made a bet where, Aslan, if things break a certain way, I still stood to win some money, a significant amount of money. But they didn't break a certain way because my man Shaheem Brown goes in there and blocks that kick and lost some money, but was very happy about the outcome. I was playing the long game anyway, right? Like it was very good for us in the long run. And all of you listening to this, for Florida State to win that game.
It's crazy. I was in the corner of the end zone where the Florida State student section was, where the kick was blocked, and I wasn't going to ever diminish what Shaheem did, but part of me was like, man, when you miss an extra point, that's on you. Like you just got to just get the ball up, man. But finally on Tuesday, I finally saw the television copy of the block and everything. I'm like, oh wow, that was earned, man.
The kicker didn't do anything wrong there. I don't think. I think that's just Shaheem making a. I mean, the left side of the line did something wrong for LSU, but I think that's just a dude making a play. I don't blame the kicker for that one.
Yeah, no. So makes it that much more enjoyable. Polls are out. Florida State not in the AP poll. Did not see the coaches poll, but I assume since we haven't tweeted anything about it, they're probably not in the coaches poll either. They're in the others receiving votes with about 3 other teams in front of them. Florida, meanwhile, I think ranked 12th. What's up with that? Come on.
Well, it's a good win. It's a good win against overvalued Utah team, but what are you going to do?
Well, that's the whole thing. If they're overvalued, then you shouldn't be 12th. I mean, I'm not saying don't make them ranked, but 12th? Come on. They were a horrible decision away from losing the game, but again, I'm not bemoaning that Florida State's not ranked. I think if you don't fumble the ball on 3rd and 1 there when you have a 99.9% chance to win the game, probably, I think they would be ranked. I think the quality of the victory might have influenced voters. I don't care about it. I'm just glad we're 2-0.
It's interesting. I don't know because if Florida State, when you think about, let's just say Norvell kicks the field goal. I mean, I agree with him going for it. Certainly don't agree with that's the best 2-yard play you got, man. The fade to your smallest receiver.
Right.
I don't know but I agreed with the decision to go for it. But I can see either side. Take the points. So you left 3 points out there. You left. Johnny Wilson drops a touchdown. I don't know if he got credit for a drop on PFF. It would have been a nice catch, but it's a catch we see him make a lot. It was a pretty good throw, a pretty well thrown ball. Go make the play, man. It went right through his hands. Make that play. Micah Pittman could have made that catch. Cam McDonald could have made his catch. I don't think that ball was tipped. Either way, when you think about having the ball twice inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line, and not getting any points at all. Plus, your 6'7" receiver, who I thought had a nice game overall, doesn't haul in a catch that he can. You're talking about leaving 13, 16 points out there.
It happens to a lot of teams, though.
No,
right?
I know, but what my point being, if they would have taken advantage of all their scoring opportunities and at least gotten some points out of there, and say they finish with 33, 34 points and win that game 34-17, I think the narrative is, man, LSU's just not that good. And I think that's still the narrative, but that's why I don't know that Florida State would have been ranked even then, just because I think people would have been like, yeah, great, but it's their first game. Their wide receiver was clearly not happy. There's some toxicity, maybe not locker room or on the sidelines that he's dealing with. Big deal. I don't know. I think they'd have been about the same. But who cares, man? Just keep winning. You'll get ranked eventually.
Yeah. All that said, thank you. Johnny Wilson credited with a drop. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Cam McDonald not, though. Cam McDonald not. But I could have sworn he dropped it. I'm not trying to beat up on the kid.
I don't know if they counted that as a PBU or not. It's so close. You can't tell on the replay if the ball is deflected. And look, if the ball is deflected, it's barely deflected. And we're talking about the seam pass down the middle of the field. I thought it looked on first glance that it was Jordan's best throw of the night. It was just a right on the money in a very small window. But if it's tipped just a little bit, that's really hard to catch because he was so close. The defender was so close to him. It's not like you have time to recover and your hands go and make that play. But, yeah, I don't know if that was a drop or not. If the ball was tipped at all, it wouldn't be. But on first glance, it sure looked like one. And I thought Pittman could have caught his. But then Pokey did catch his. So good for them.
Yeah, it all evens out, right? All right, on Monday night, Clemson played a football game, and I thought they looked, not too scared. But then Cade Klubnik came in and looked quite well in that final drive of the game for Clemson. I would foresee him being the starting quarterback for Clemson when Florida State plays him. Although Dabo said he thought DJ Uiagalelei played well, I disagree with that assertion. Meanwhile, Louisville struggled against Syracuse. That's next up for the Noles.
Struggled as in got beat down.
Yeah, that's probably even more an accurate way to put it. 31-7 against Syracuse. Maybe Syracuse will be a little trickier than we thought, but on the whole, I think just, again, one game snapshot. You're like, all right, well, I feel much better about the Louisville game. Maybe, obviously, not as good about the Syracuse game, but not enough to make up for the fact that, again, you're going to probably go into that Louisville game feeling really good. Haven't seen a line yet. Maybe Louisville's going to have to play a game, obviously, here on Friday night. Then we'll see what the line will be for the Florida State game. And the news, to a certain degree, upsets people that Sam Hartman has returned. I get it, but, I'm happy that the kid's healthy and he can play football. Bring him on. I don't want to be at the point where I'm rooting for teams and not have their best player because I'm scared. They're not doing that anymore. I'm not playing scared.
Especially not Wake Forest. I don't care who they have at quarterback. You should be able to beat Wake Forest
at home.
And look, man, I think Sam Hartman is probably he's certainly more proven and he's probably better, or at least better. That offense is better than what I was going to say he's better than Jordan Travis, but that offense with Sam Hartman is clearly better than any offense that Jordan Travis has been a part of in the last 2 years. But I don't think that's a huge advantage they have at quarterback anymore. Jordan Travis is a player, man.
Yeah.
You've got one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, so don't be scared that somebody else is bringing in theirs. Yes, it would have been easier if he wasn't playing, almost assuredly, but he is. And you want their best anyway, don't you, Aslan?
Absolutely. All right, so these are the questions that we had. My voice keeps cracking. I lost my voice Thursday night, Bourbon Street. It was over, everybody.
You did, man. Yeah, you were raspy the whole – sounded like Stevie Nicks out there. You were raspy the whole rest of the trip.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet. We're in a bar, and I don't know, the way I'm programmed, I can't talk to somebody in a loud bar without yelling. Even if they're 2 feet away, I still have to yell to project my voice. I can't have and you don't. I was conversing with you, and I don't feel like you were yelling at all, but I'm having to yell to get my words across. But no one cares about that. We also need to thank everybody. My phone that I have all my notes in is in the other room, so I'll have to stop the show at some point and grab my phone because I wrote down a lot of people's names to thank from that meet and greet. We did try. We kind of glossed over it with the show on Monday or Tuesday, rather, right? Because they played on – no, it was Monday show.
Monday,
they played
right.
Sunday on Monday. Thanks to Jeff and Ira again for pitching in there and Corey for stepping up and having a good idea of just going ahead and recording it on the field as we waited for Ira to come down for the wrap. But the big questions going into the game. Do you have a good quarterback? Is he indeed as good as he thinks he is and his head coach says he is? Yes.
Yep.
Is this kid from an FCS school that looks like Tarzan? He's going to play like Jane. He's going to play like Tarzan. Will we know what he is? We do. Yeah. He's a very good pass rusher.
He's a handful.
He's a very
handful
good football.
Coming off the edge.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So those are 2 questions. Your offensive line. You didn't have Bless Harris. We knew that. We couldn't report it, everybody. Sorry. We love you, though. The fact that you're having to mix and match, put some guys here. Can Maurice Smith hold up over the course of a game? Can you be good enough to hold that defensive line at bay? And you were. So, again, they've kind of they've redlined where they're at depth-wise on the offensive line. Surely you don't want anybody else to go down right now. But they were more than able to give Jordan the proper time, and Jordan made plays and saw everything quite well. So the sort of concerns you might have had, maybe to a lesser degree, your coverage, just because, guys like Duke Cooper didn't maybe close out the preseason on a strong note, battling through an injury. But I think the coverage held up kind of well, other than that last drive. So
the last 3 drives, man, that to me is what's problematic, is you let them go down the field 3 straight drives to end the game after kind of dominating them the first portion of the game.
Absolutely,
That to me is it's not discouraging, but it's certainly not encouraging, and that needs to be figured out, because I don't think that kid. You remember the practice right before Jacksonville, where all we wrote about was how Jordan Travis looked, when he just lit them up, and then the next, literally lit them up, looked like Pat Mahomes, and then the next day we talked to, or maybe 2 days later, we talked to Jamie Robinson, because out in Jacksonville it seemed like the defense had gotten the better of the offense, and we asked him about that day. And he's like, well, we were playing a lot of prevent cover, kind of working on some stuff, prevent defense, quarters coverage, or 3 deep safeties and all that. And so that tells me they aren't any good at it. They weren't good at it in August because Jordan Travis ripped them apart. And then in a game against a lesser quarterback with better receivers, though, they still weren't good at it. And that has to be fixed somehow. I don't know if it's the Jacksonville State debacle that's always in the back of your mind. Like, we can let them move the ball a little bit. We got to make them run some clock, but we can't give them a huge play. So let's back up 25 yards off the ball, but you can't make it that easy because the game's not out of reach. It's a 1-score game. I know they're starting at their own 1, but it's a 1-score game, and you got a sack. Any sack without a timeout with 30 seconds left should end the game, but it didn't. Maybe they called their last timeout after that sack, but they were on their other side of the 50 with 30 seconds left and no timeouts and an average at best throwing quarterback. In the very first play, you're in a prevent, and you let him bust off a 25-yard run. And that with horrible tackling, there's so many question marks. Like, why is Robert Cooper in the game at all on that drive? And I love Robert Cooper, but they're going to throw it the whole time. You need guys that can get to the quarterback, and if they can't get there, can make plays down the field, can at least be athletic enough to make him move. You're not going to get, defensive tackles aren't going to get a sack typically in a 1-minute drill. He didn't need to be on the field, and then Derek McClendon was the spy. It looked like anyway. He's in the middle of the field playing a spy on the Jane Daniels run. It doesn't come close, and I think Derek McClendon's a good enough defensive end, but he can't tackle Jane Daniels in space, clearly. So there were some odd decisions there, some odd looks from that defense, and it came back to bite him in the butt and almost cost him the game. Should have cost him the game if not for Shaheem Brown's heroics. And I when I was thinking about that on Monday, was like, man, yeah, remember that day that Jordan Travis lit up that prevent defense too? Like, you can't make it this easy on kids. You can't make it this easy on an offense that's been struggling all night. So they got to go back to the drawing board there. Other than that, I thought you could be rightly encouraged with what you saw from the defense. Duke Cooper's a talking point, though. Don't you think? Like, this wasn't, in my opinion, this wasn't unexpected. If you've been listening to this show, and I pray that you have, folks, but if you haven't, welcome aboard. I've been talking about how I was a little concerned about what I was seeing from him in practice literally for 3 weeks now. Yeah. And it carried over on Sunday night too. And, it's okay to be an average cornerback or it's not okay. You don't want that, but that happens. But the thing with Duke Cooper is he was great at the end of last year. Yeah. And he was great all spring. He was their best player on defense in the spring. The whole spring, he was awesome. And he was really good to start out fall camp, at least the first 4 or 5 days, and then it's just looked troubling since then. And that needs to get figured out, because if he's just an average cornerback instead of a good one, that kind of changes what you think this secondary can be.
Well, if you can get to the quarterback, though, which it looks like they're still going to be able to with Jared Verse. And
correct.
I mean, him and Jamie, out of the 14 guys who have coverage grades on PFF, Jamie ranked 13th out of 14 players, and then Duke ranked 11th out of 14 players. So, again, don't want to maybe – not saying that you are overreacting, but because it is a point of concern, because, again, to your point, we saw maybe a little bit of a tapering of his play and his production here in the last few weeks. But then again, Jamie didn't have a great game either, but I think Jamie would probably bounce back and be quite well. And, Akeem had a really good high coverage grade, so maybe your safeties can help compensate some of the stuff that you might not get out of a guy like Amari Cooper. But I don't know. I just think
true. I think you have good safeties. I think Jamie, I don't know if that coverage grade is strictly the pass interference, which was barely pass interference. If that was the biggest ding in him, I don't remember him being necessarily exposed in coverage much. He didn't make any real plays but I don't know that he was exposed. But I thought Akeem Dent played well, and we know Jamie Robinson is good. Like, maybe he had a bad game, but we know he can play, and he's made big moments in big games before. So I'm not really worried about him, right? Duke, I don't know, man. Just hadn't looked right for a while.
No. But, again, the fact that we know the quarterback is very good, the fact that we know that the defensive end is very good, more than alleviates any kind of concern we have. And, again, to your point, man, about, you can't let a team go down the field on you in that sort of amount of time. This team that we thought would probably be somewhere in that 6 to 8 win window, but now I think, 7 wins is probably your floor at this point, provided the quarterback stays healthy. Which that feels great. I mean, it feels great to say you're a Florida State fan. Maybe, I don't know. I just, again, to the earlier point when we talked about the show about, the teams on the schedule, Clemson maybe not looking all that great, and we'll see how their quarterback situation works itself out. Sam Hartman's back, but Louisville doesn't look all that as scary as we thought they were. I don't know. I know you don't want to recalibrate, but I'm starting to recalibrate in my mind. I mean, are you going to have to see something impressive against Louisville to get to the point where, like, all right, now I will recalibrate my expectations for what this team can be, just from a pure win-loss record standpoint?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you though. I don't know what if anything kind of changed my mind about this team. Maybe the way Jordan played.
Yeah, Corey, the way he played, the way Jared Verse played, just that alone right there.
But I kind of thought they had a real good shot in that game anyway. So, and I was still
but they
between.
Dominated though, Corey. Sorry to
well,
interrupt you,
they did. That is
good,
the key.
Man.
Yeah, that is the key, and that's why I'm just genuinely curious about that 2-minute defense, because our team's just going to watch that and say we're going to spread them out and just quick pass. They're going to give us a ton of 8-yard open receivers, because the thing that I wonder about and a little bit concerned about as we project down the line is, Sam Hartman is better than Jane Daniels. Malik Cunningham, maybe. I don't understand what happened in that game. I just don't. But you've got Van Dyke at Miami. You've got some dudes that you have to play that are good, and if you give them huge windows to throw the ball into, they're going to find it. And that's what concerns me a little bit.
It'll be a 9-3 team. Like, the 9-3 team is going to have 3 bad weeks, but that's still a great season for this team.
Well,
right now.
I'm not.
Where's your head at right now, Corey? We're not saying they're perfect. They're going to make it to the playoff. I was joking in the open about the path to the playoff, Corey. Come on, man.
No, but I wonder if that I just like I'm sold, and you guys know this. You've been listening to this. I'm sold on Jordan Travis. I bought his stock a long time ago. He is a good college quarterback that can go win games.
Very good college quarterback.
He is 8-3 in his last 11. They are 8-3 in the last 11 games that Jordan Travis has started. 8-3. The 3 losses: overtime Notre Dame, at Clemson by a field goal, essentially at Florida by a field goal. They've won all the other ones. He is a winner, and he is a good quarterback. You love what you saw in him, and it would appear he's taken even another step to be like, maybe all ACC caliber quarterback. It's just you're playing. I'm hesitating about the defense late in games. That's it. Okay. That's all. I think because they're going to be in so many games, Aslan. Yeah. I don't foresee this team blowing many people out. I just don't foresee it. I hope it happens. I hope they go and beat Louisville 41-17. But I see, 27-20, and Louisville's got the ball with a minute and a half left. How are you going to be able to end a game, finish a game? And because it was troubling. And I don't know if it was because LSU's receivers are so good. That's the best crew they're going to face, or the most dangerous anyway. Like the one that gives you the most pause, like, man, back up. Do not let that dude run by you, man. And I don't know if that's why they played so soft. But that you can't. That's the only thing that's the my main takeaways were Jordan Travis is really good. I still worry about the fourth quarter defense. I just do. I just do. And that until you tell me I shouldn't worry about it and prove it, I'm going to worry about it. But you make the best point is it's not like they were lucky to win that game. If they would have lost the game, it would have been really, really unlucky because they were the better team. Yeah. Like the Miami game. They jumped on Miami early last year, and then I thought Miami proved over like the next, I don't know, until the final 2 minutes, they had kind of dominated a 15 to 18 to 20 minute stretch. I'm not going to say Florida State was fortunate to win that game, but I don't know that I would say Florida State was the better team. Florida State was the better team on Sunday night. Yes. They were the better team. Yes. And it really could have been a 3-score game if things break a different way. That's really, really encouraging, man, because 2 years ago, I know LSU wasn't good 2 years ago, but that Florida State team playing LSU 2 years ago, they would have lost by 28 points. And last year, especially if Jordan Travis wasn't playing, they were going to lose to LSU. Just think about where they've gone, and I know LSU's got some serious issues, but they just beat LSU. They beat a blue blood. They've beaten Boston College on the road, which I know isn't a big deal, but in 4 of their last wins, one is a rivalry win over a pretty good Miami team, and then you beat LSU. Those are good wins. So they're starting not to just beat teams they're necessarily supposed to beat. They're beating blue bloods, and they're proving to themselves they can stay on the field with these guys and be better than those guys. And I just think that's such an important step for a program. Yeah, they're not going 12-0 probably, but to win those kind of games, I really think, depending on how you take advantage of it, depending on how you go, where you go from here, those can be huge stepping stones to where you want to get.
All right, well that's all right. All right, okay, that was a positive spin. I will not poo-poo on it. We finally
thank you. We're not about poo-pooing on this show.
No. So again, 24-23 win for Florida State. You obviously know this, everybody. Louisville next up Friday night in Louisville. I'll actually have to watch the game.
Well, two Friday nights away.
Sorry, buddy. We got the week off, everybody. Pretty cool.
I'm going to be in Atlanta hanging out with Brady for the first time in a bit, which will be fun. And then, I guess it's the first weekend of NFL. I hope there's some good college games on Saturday. I'm looking forward to having a Saturday off to actually just stay in front of a TV and watch. And then also, don't forget, Aslan, that Jared Verse was he the ACC Defensive Player of the Week? And Shaheem Brown was the Special Teams Player of the Week?
Specialist, and then Pokey was the Receiver of the Week. So
Receiver of the Week.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's another big thing. It's good that you brought him up. Man, Jared Verse, you just never know, right? We saw it in practice. We knew he was good. We thought he was good. And he certainly was wanted by everybody in the country, including Ohio State, like the big boys. And but you never know until you see how they perform on that stage. And I'm telling you, the sack he had on that last drive, that should have been the ball game. That's as clutch a play as you can make because everybody was talking about, and it's true, go make a play. You're an athlete. Go make a play when it matters. And the defense didn't do that. Jared Verse did that. That is a huge sack. And that was his second one. He also drew 2 holds and blocked a kick. Welcome to college football, dog. That's awesome. That's a good what a debut. Duquesne doesn't count. What a debut for my man to do that on that stage. And nobody knows him. They do now. But I saw a tweet from somebody with a blue check mark. I don't know if he's an ESPN guy or somebody. He's like, man, Florida State has a great player in true freshman Jared Verse. That's how little people know about the guy. He ain't a true freshman. He's been at Albany. I think he might be draft eligible. He's not 19 or 18. He's been around, but man, that is so good to see a guy that has that kind of motor that rises to the moment and makes plays. So that is really, really encouraging. Look, man, Jermaine Johnson was great because Jermaine Johnson did everything well. Yeah. He was not just a pass rusher. So I think, and I'm not saying Jared Verse is either, but Jared Verse has to prove other parts of his game before you start comparing him to 11, because 11 was just great. But, man, what a start. What a start to his career here at Florida State.
Corey's asking about those good games this week. Of course there is. It's college football. It's week 2, everybody. Go to mybookie.ag. Get your sweat in for the week as the Noles are off. Plenty to look at. You can parlay some stuff. You can pick out props. Still think there's probably some NFL season over-unders in terms of win totals, things of that nature that you can check out. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere with the MyBookie website, mybookie.ag. And use the promo code WARCHANT when you're there so they know that we sent you, and they'll deposit, or rather they will double your first deposit because they're nice like that. We got Alabama, Texas, Corey, number 1 Alabama. Blake Anderson from Utah State, who was sacrificed against them, said that might be the best team he's ever seen in pads in the 30 years of his coaching. The one thing I will call out for everybody here, also Tennessee at Pitt, 6.5-point underdog, Pitt at home versus the Vols.
That's a big game for the ACC. That'd be nice to go ahead and win that game. That Tennessee group isn't anything special.
No. The team that we're going to be on all year on this program, everybody, we're going to be on South Alabama. They're a 5.5-point dog at Central Michigan. Let's keep an eye on South Alabama throughout the season, everybody.
Why are we doing that?
They just got a whole bunch of guys I recognize. They also have LaDamian Webb as a running back. They've got coaches I kind of that got good pedigree and such, and they've run in good circles. So I'm like, all right, those guys at that program, they can probably figure it out. We'll maybe put together a parlay for you folks to put together, but by all means, feel free to check out the website, mybookie.ag. Use that promo code WARCHANT. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere over at mybookie.ag. There's one other thing to actually kind of button up the game, Corey. Bigger picture sort of stuff. Again, I think Florida State looked markedly better than the team they were playing against on Sunday night, and that's a team with a lot of good talent and some pretty good coaching. I think a lot of what we saw out of LSU was the sort of stuff that we had seen out of Florida State the last 2 years as they were trying to reinstill a culture, quote unquote, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that LSU did wrong were the things that Florida State had done wrong. So credit to Florida State for working their way out of those sort of things. But I thought, and Mackenzie Milton tweeted about it, really very complimentary, gushing about Mike Norvell's sort of football mind, if you will. And there was a lot of plays, and you and Jeff talked about it, or maybe actually, I'm sorry, you and Ira, I think, talked about it during the wrap. Just, man, there was a lot of third and longs that Florida State converted that were just well-executed, well-designed plays, like screens, like going ahead and letting the rush come to you, throwing some underneath, and then getting a lot of yards after catch. So, I mean, I think it was really encouraging to see Mike Norvell call plays in a big game himself and see how good the offense looked. And then, obviously, that final play, the final snap that Florida State had offensively, the fumble, I know that's been a point of contention for a lot of people, which is it's totally fair to talk about. They put themselves in a position they had no reason being in after playing really quite well for 59 or 58 and a half minutes. But, I mean, you learn your lesson in a moment like that. Thankfully, he didn't have to lose to learn a lesson. But I would imagine that sort of, I don't want to call it cutesy, but, again, if Trayshawn holds on to the ball, it's a walk-in touchdown. So
correct. It
wasn't a horrible thing. But, again, you have to kind of know your team, know the moment, and mitigate things that can go against you in that sort of situation. I don't think that's kind of going to be a mark of – it's not going to follow him, I wouldn't think. Right? Like you learned your lesson in that moment for Mike Norvell, would you not?
Yeah, and he said as much. I think Andrea Adelson had talked to him at some point on Monday, and he said the same thing. Like he made a mistake. He kind of owned up, and I loved his reaction in the press conference. If you guys didn't go watch that, go watch it. But when I asked him about it, he kind of interrupted me in the middle of the question to say, "Yeah, I got to," and I was irate. I mean, we had a lot of words afterwards. You do not interrupt Corey Clark in the middle of a press conference. He talk about learning your lesson. But he interrupted me. He started smiling when I brought it up. Not like this jerk's going to ask me about this, but like you could tell he had been thinking about it well before that question was asked. Like he knew afterwards in the moment, yeah, that was a mistake. I can guarantee you he was thinking about it as they drove down the field 99 yards. Man, that was just not worth. That just was not worth it. And yeah, it is a walk-in touch. But yes, so he admitted, there's some coaches that would be stubborn about it. Like, no, it's a walk-in touchdown. We got to execute, which is true. It's a walk-in touchdown if that happens. It just is. In that instance, yeah, fine, good play call. But you have to know, like, time and awareness. Like, you want to score the touchdown there, clearly. It puts the game away. So does the field goal. And you're at the 1. And a QB sneak can get in the end zone, and there's really very little risk with a QB sneak. And my issue, I guess, I had with the call is you don't go under center a lot. So that's not a play you practice a ton. Where Jordan, it's a quick snap and a quick pitch from a kind of short distance. It's just not something that you practice a ton. And in that instance, running clock, not turning it over is so much more important than scoring the touchdown. That's all. And that's the stuff you grow from. He's 40 years old. He's coached in, I'm going to argue, man, that the Notre Dame game and then this game are the 2 biggest games of his career as far as like people watching him, people caring. I love Memphis football. Aslan, you know that.
Absolutely.
I regale you with my Memphis football trivia. Nobody cares about Memphis football. You can make mistakes like that, and it just doesn't matter. I shouldn't say nobody cares. The nation doesn't care. People, that's a pretty good fan base there, so I don't want to diminish what they are. But the nation doesn't care about Memphis football. You can make those kind of foul ups and not really impact you. You can't do that at Florida State. And so that was a learning lesson. But he admitted it. He admitted saying, "Yeah, I kind of made a mistake there. Next time I need to, I need to be better. I need to think it wasn't worth the risk." Because just QB sneaking it into the line like you did against Miami. If you don't get it, they have to call a timeout. And if they don't call a timeout, 40 more seconds runs off the clock. And then you really doesn't matter if you score a touchdown, if you go for it. Whatever it is, you make them burn another timeout, and then you can kick a field goal to put you up 10. And if you miss a 19-yard field goal or a 20-yard field goal, then, I don't think people would have been really upset with you there. Like, that's the right play, man. So if something crazy happens, something crazy happens. But at any rate, yes, that they all grow. It was great from that instance that the coach made, in my opinion, a mistake. But it didn't end up costing them a win.
It was a mistake, yeah.
Well, but the counter to that is it is a touchdown. All you have to do is have a very good athlete throw a ball 2 yards to another very good athlete who can catch it. Brady would have caught that. Brady might have made a better toss than Jordan Travis, too. And, well, I shouldn't say that because Brady is also a world-class athlete, so I don't know why I said that. Ira could have made that toss. Ira could have caught that pitch. It's just in the flow of a game, you're introducing a little bit of risk. That's all. You're introducing some risk that maybe doesn't need to be there.
That doesn't need to be. There was no need to introduce risk into that situation there. But again, it's
they won the game.
Exactly.
They won the game.
Because LSU decided not to go for 2.
Shaheem.
They're crazy.
Well, but also you went and made a play. And like I said on Monday's show and in the Warchant rap, man, I loved it. It wasn't that Florida State got a break. This was not Louisiana Monroe a few years ago with Willie, where they should have gone for 2-2 in overtime, but that kid just missed the extra point. This was blocked. You went and blocked it. The stuff you practice 45 minutes a day paid off. You went and blocked a kick to win a game. That to me, and you blocked a short field goal earlier in the game. All that matters, man. So that was good to see that somebody went out and made a play. It wasn't a kid just kicking it right into the butt of his center or missing it by 6 yards to the right or anything like that. The kicker didn't choke. You just went and made a play. So awesome. And hey, shout out to Jeff Culhane, the new voice of the Seminoles.
Yes.
What a call. That was a great call. That was cool that he got a moment like that so early in his career. Hopefully he gets a lot more.
All right, so, this team, I don't know if they're going to get better every week. We hope they would. I just think that what we saw against LSU, again, for that 3.5 quarters or whatever, they looked just quite in control.
Yeah.
And I guess now we're getting to see the full complement of this offense with Mike calling plays and having
the third down conversions were exceptional.
Yeah, and having the receivers that they have. They're going to be a really hard team to defend against. And,
and
I know a lot of people
would you say,
go ahead.
And I was going to say real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off. Actually,
good.
I did. But Pittman and Johnny Wilson will make those catches. They're not going to make all of them. Nobody makes every contested catch. But Johnny Wilson will make some of those catches in the end zone. I promise you, he will. He made 2 really good catches. The one by his knees running across the middle, that's the best catch we've seen him make. And we've seen him make a lot of good ones. He also made kind of a diving catch on another kind of scramble play by Travis, which I don't know if his feet got stuck or if he tripped, but he dove for a ball that I think if he can somehow keep his feet and keep running, he might have gone an extra 25 yards. But, man, what an option to have on a scramble drill a really quick guy that can find holes in the zone like Micah Pittman appears to, and a huge giant in the middle of the field to throw the ball to. That to me, you can't overstate how important that is. And it's not probably a coincidence because they were so bad on third down last year. Well, yeah, you don't have very good wide receivers. It's hard to convert a lot of third and eights. But Cam McDonald making some catches, and then Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman, that's a nice addition. And guys, I'm telling you, I don't have any inside knowledge. I've not talked to a trainer. I've not talked to Mike Norvell. I don't know Winston Wright's family. He's going to be back soon. And that's a whole different element because he might be the best you got. He's certainly the most proven. And if you add him into the mix, well, yeah, now you've gone from below average specialists, like skill guys, to I would say at least above average in the ACC. I will say this, going to need more out of the running backs. I know it's tougher to run against LSU than Duquesne. I get it. Going to need y'all to see or make more decisive decisions, hit a hole harder, run a little harder. Didn't necessarily like what I saw from Trey Benson in particular. But it was also his first game ever in an environment like that, playing a defense like that, where it really, I mean, he hadn't played really a competitive game since high school. So that was an eye-opener for him. Now he knows he's been in that moment. I expect him to just get better and better as the season goes on, too.
Well said. They do need to get better running the ball there.
I just didn't like a little tiptoey.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man, it's not Duquesne. There's not going to be gaping holes, and you're not going to be able to just throw guys off you. You're going to have to lower your shoulders sometimes and maybe bounce off a guy, but see a hole, hit a hole, get 4 or 5 yards. Toafili, there was one run he had in the first half where I'm like, man, he just didn't see that. Like, it looked like he could have gone left. It was blocked really well, and he kind of cut back into the pursuit, which was odd. I mean, he's good. I mean, all these guys are good, but you can't. It's hard to be good in a moment like that till you've been good in a moment like that, till you've experienced it. And now they've won a game. They both, Trey Benson got 6 carries against LSU. Remember, folks, he had 22 yards in his career before this season. So all this stuff matters. All these experiences matter because you want him to be good against Florida. You want him to be good against Miami and later in the year. And even though he didn't play well against LSU, that experience matters.
Moving along, then to the receivers and this offense, kind of a little big picture thing as we wrap things up here. We'll be live Thursday. Wake Up Warchant, 6 p.m. Corey Eastern time.
Yeah, that sounds good. 6 p.m.
Yeah, Thursday we'll be live. So that'll be the Friday podcast. So we will put up a Renegade Express thread on Wednesday at some point here today as you're listening to it. That will be your Thursday podcast. It'll be Renegade Express. So. We'll go ahead and nip it in the bud a little bit here, Corey. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of, what are your guys' predictions now for their record after this? And, I think a lot of people obviously were hoping that Mike Norvell can have his Memphis offense here at Florida State at some point in terms of being like a top 10 offense, top 5 offense. When he was at Arizona State, they were always like in the lower 20s, which I think maybe right now with the talent that you have, that might be a feasible kind of goal option, although I should pull up where they're at right now nationally to kind of see where they're at, and I'll do that when I let you rip it here, Corey. But to get to that, I think that level of what he had at Memphis, playing in this Power 5 level, he's going to need a much, much better. He's going to need elite players from the high school, blue chip guys, maybe that top tier Jared Verse-esque talented player offensively to get where he needs to. But looking at what they have now, and we talked about, we think the defense will be maybe in that 30, range. It was the offense needed to get better. I mean, does this look like an offense with the playmakers they have, the quarterback they're playing, that they can be a top 30 offense? And what would it mean if they have a top 30 offense, Corey, and a top 30 defense for where their win's going to be? I know you don't like having to make predictions, but man, if they're going to play as good as they did offensively for a large part of that game and probably get a little bit better, and these guys are going to make the catches that they didn't make on Sunday night, I mean, we're talking like 9-win, really good bowl game team, right? Or no?
If they're top 30-ish in both, yeah, I think you can say that's a 9-win team, and they should be in every game. Things happen, goofy injury or goofy turnovers and stuff can happen, special teams mistakes. But if they're a top 30-ish defense, if they play like they did on Sunday, with better execution in the red zone, which is something they've been one of the things they've been awesome at. Really, the only thing they've been awesome at last year on offense was their red zone efficiency. If they can get better at that and just have that be a one-game anomaly there that happened on Sunday, yeah, in their top 30-ish, absolutely, 9 wins is great, and 9 wins is doable for sure. And, yeah, I just think you have so much trust in your quarterback now because, man, there was a play in that game, Aslan, where I think it's 1st and 15. It's after a false start, which I think they only had one of those. The immediate pressure comes. I think it's a blitz. And, man, they threw everything at Jordan Travis, by the way. LSU was not sitting there in just a 4-down lineman, which I thought they would. Like 4-down lineman, we're just going to try to beat you with our really good defensive linemen. They brought pressure from all angles. And he didn't see all of them, but even when he didn't see them, he escaped them. And he made a play, I think it was 1st and 15, where maybe it was on their drive to make it 24-10, where he rolls to his right. And he has it looks like at least 12 yards he could run before a defender comes up and makes a play. Like it's wide open space. He's at least going to run for 10 yards, maybe more if he makes somebody miss. But he keeps his eyes downfield and hits Pittman for like a 25-yard throw. Man, that is the next level stuff. Mm-hmm. That is the stuff. Because, look, man, it's always fun to watch Jordan Travis run, but he won that game with his mind and his arm. He had one run. I think he had 30 yards rushing. He had 23 on one carry. That was it. So he won that game with his right arm. And as you move forward, now everybody has to know that. And they have to be like, well, we can't play Jordan Travis how we would like to, which 8 guys in the box and stacking everything and keeping a spy on him. Because if you do that, I think he's kind of proven he might be able to just pick your secondary apart. He's got better players. He's got guys that can get open on 3rd down. And I think that's what's so encouraging about this offense moving forward is, man, it was a weird game. They didn't have a ton of possessions. But, if they'd have gotten the one more possession, they would have had over 400 yards of offense. They should have had at least 31 points against a talented defense, a defense with players, a defense with guys that will play in the league. They should have had over 400 yards, 30 points. He would have thrown for close to 300. He threw for 260 as it was. So as you move forward and you play lesser defenses, and those running backs weren't really a factor in that game, but they will be. So will Jordan Travis's legs. Like, you got a lot of tools in the tool bag now because of how he proved he could convert 3rd downs. They weren't all 3rd and 1s. They were 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s, and he made it look kind of simple, some of them, which is awesome, man. Like, that's when a quarterback's figures something out is when he makes it look simple. So moving forward, yes, I am much more bullish on this offense than I was before the game because now I've seen it. And they left plays out there. I don't think the running backs played well. I thought that receivers were kind of inconsistent. They made some really nice catches, some nice plays, but you see why people are so excited about those guys because they are such an upgrade. Plus, Pokey's Pokey. And then you've got guys coming like Deuce Spann and maybe Malik McLean, maybe Portier, and Winston Wright to go along with what you think is a pretty good trio of running backs that now will be hungry because they didn't play well. All that matters. I mean, you should be able to run the ball, and now you can throw the ball. So, yeah, I'm very bullish on what this offense can be. And if they get to top 30, average that 34 points a game, maybe score 23 against Clemson, somewhere in that neighborhood, you have a chance to have a really nice season if you can build on what you looked like on Sunday. Because I thought like I said, Jordan Travis was the story of that game. They left points out there, and they still scored 24 and won the game.
Yeah, too early to look at the stats, really. I mean, their scoring offense right now is 54th, 35.5 points per game. Total offense.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but, Duquesne is just
right.
Gonna.
But what I'm saying is 35.5 points per game. Yeah, everybody else has played one game, and most against, like, bad football teams. But if they can stay in the neighborhood of 33 to 35 points per game, somewhere in that neighborhood, which is a tall ask because you're playing in a real conference, but it's not the SEC either. Yeah, that's a 9-win team, I think. Okay. I think that's a 9-win team. I think you can win some shootouts. I think your defense isn't terrible. It's not a sieve. You got players over there. They're not going to shut anybody out, I doubt. But, if they give up 20 to 23 points consistently every game, you should win most of them.
All right, so thank you to everybody who came out Saturday to the meet and greet. This is not an exhaustive list because it took me a while where I'm like, wow, there really are a lot of people here that watch and listen to the show, and I'm not going to remember all their names, so I'm going to start typing in my phone. The Stevens were there, the Tom Brink and Sevi from Nashville. Thanks to Chuck and Brian. I met an Andrew from Gainesville, another Andrew, and Alex. Calvin was at the game, Corey. He goes by Against All Odds on YouTube. Shout out to him. Caleb and Zach Amos, they literally went to the dungeon because they heard us talking about it on the show and thought we were going to be there. We did not go. Sorry, guys. Andrew and Britt, adorable couple. I think they were from Denver, if I'm not mistaken. Jared, Nutmeg Knoll, a guy from Connecticut. Vishal, JT, Jordan, Kendrick, Dustin, Stephen, Melanie, Paul, and last but not least, Corey, and I mentioned Zach and Caleb going to the dungeon, maybe not picking up on our Mitchell and Pete as well. Forgot them. Mitchell and Pete. Shout out Mitchell and Pete. But, you know, we're a little sarcastic on the show. Sometimes it's hard to follow along. You're more sarcastic than I am, or at least you deliver it better. But, you know, we joked about going to the dungeon. They went to the dungeon. I've joked about drinking bourbon on the show maybe once or twice, the brown water, as I like to call it. I don't like bourbon, though. Like, I don't like it. It makes me not violent, but it just makes me less happy than I already am.
When were you drinking bourbon?
What's that?
When were you drinking bourbon?
Well, it's a long story. I'm getting to it, though, Corey. Thank you for wrapping me up, though. Our guy, Lou, is like, hey, man, listen to the show, love it, don't really ever post or anything, but I got you a gift. And he gives me a bottle of bourbon that's apparently called Eagle Rare 10-year, and when I pull it out of the bag, I pulled it out of the bag on 2 different occasions, and everybody around me is like, oh, my God, dude, where did you get that bottle from? I've been looking for that for months. So our guy Lou, and I told him, I'm like, dude, I don't like bourbon. And I felt horrible because I realized he gave me a really good, high, top shelf bottle of bourbon. Eagle Rare 10-year. So I don't know when I'm going to open it. Right now it's sitting on the kitchen island. It looks amazing, though. It's like a really good decor piece at minimum, Lou, so I appreciate the heck out of you. But maybe when game day comes to town for the Clemson game, we'll be, 6-0 at that point when Clemson arrives?
Yeah, probably 9th in the country because people still won't believe because it's just, the ACC is bad. It's not Florida State is good. Yeah. Good. I would say wait till they beat one of the 3 main rivals.
Okay.
I think any of those are worthy of a sip in the bourbon on I don't know that show. You could join the post game show with Gene and Tom, and just sip on the bourbon. That's very nice. How about Lou coming through?
Shout out Lou. So
all right, it was crazy. It was an unbelievable turnout. I feel legitimately bad that so many people walked up and kind of turned away because it was so crowded, which is a great problem to have. And it was really, really, overwhelming almost. Like, we're just so appreciative, for real. So everybody was so nice and complimentary. I really did. I think Aslan did too. We all did. We tried to talk to as many people as we could, say hey, say thank you. If I didn't, I really apologize. I really do appreciate you guys coming out, though. It was really cool. And you could tell how star Florida State fans just were for a get-together of any kind. Because they're into this team, and I think they're into this coach, and now they're into they just think that it is on the right track, and they do like the guy, and I guess they like us too, which is awesome. I made the biggest mistake of the night, though, Aslan, or the day at the Howlin' Wolf was somebody says I'm walking, man, I don't think you weren't there yet, which is crazy. What's the matter with you? But
Aslan
anyway,
showing up late to an event, who would have thunk?
I mean, that was crazy. So I got there. Stephanie and I had lunch right around 12:30 or 12:45. I was like, well, let's just go. We'll have lunch, find something good to eat, and then we'll just make our way over to Howlin' Wolf. And then if there's nobody there, we'll walk around and wait for people to get there. Well, we show up to Howlin' Wolf, I think at like 1:30. So the thing is supposed to be from 2 to 5, but at 1:30, it's the wait. The wait is out the door. Like, and it's not even a wait. It's like the inside is slammed. I see Joel Davis outside with his son, Josiah, and I think he took Josiah, right?
Yeah, Josiah was there, yeah.
So I see that, and he's like, man, there's nowhere to sit in there. I'm like, already? It's 1:30. I'm like, what are you even doing here? I thought I was going to walk up and like help Tom set up. But no, it was slammed. It was slammed with people, and that place wasn't really ready for it, which is our bad. It is. And next time we do something like this, we will make sure we have a much bigger venue because literally, I think Tom might have thought 50 or 75 people would come, and it was hundreds upon hundreds. But the biggest the biggest faux pas of the entire day, and you're not going to like this when you hear this. Uh-oh. So I'm shoulder to shoulder with people. I'm so hot. I'm just trying to get outside. Plus, I see a lot of people outside that can't get in. And I do want to go say hey to them. Give them their New Orleans memory, right, Aslan?
Absolutely.
You're like, oh, we got to hang out with Corey Clark. What a successful trip. No, but I wanted to go thank people that were outside that couldn't get in. And as I'm scooting past, a very handsome gentleman says, "Hey, Corey, what's up, man?" And I go, "Hey, what's up?" And I think I said, "What's your name?" or "Nice to meet you," but he could something like that. He could tell. He could tell that I didn't quite place his face, and it was Ray Pereira.
It was Ray. It was a pillar, the original.
The original
Come
pillar.
on.
I apologize profusely. I didn't get to hang out with him much. Apparently, he was at the dungeon on Saturday night. Sorry, Ray. We didn't make it, buddy. But that was awesome to see him, and I could not apologize more for. I was like, you're better looking in person. That's what I told him, which is true.
Well done.
But I just didn't recognize him. And plus, my mind was spinning because it was so crowded and hot, and so many people were in there. But yeah, man, what an awesome turnout, and everybody was just very, very happy. And I'm horrible with names, clearly. I'm horrible with faces, apparently. There's nothing redeeming about me as a person, but that it was. So I don't remember any names necessarily, but I do appreciate everybody coming out. Did you take any pictures with people?
Yeah, I got tagged in one of them with our guy Mitchell Knoll.
Okay, good.
But we took a photo with dudes on Bourbon on Thursday night. It was great. So, but yeah, the pillars are all there. Mark from Naples, Ray, James B, Shane Kirkley, Eric Angel. Didn't see our guy, Joel Davis also. Didn't see our guy, Ed Lemix, though. I don't know where Ed was at.
I didn't either. Yeah, I did. I got to hang out with James B. a little bit. Got to go to dinner with Shane and his fiancée, Michelle, and then Mark from Naples and his wife, Lauren. And I'll tell you this. So we meet up Friday night.
You remembered her name, though. Good job.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mark, yeah, well, I'm not even going to say anything. Mark, good job, buddy. And he said the same thing about Stephanie. But so we're there. We get there before Mark and Lauren do. And when she sits down, you can imagine, and this might just be my perception, clearly my perception. But I think she had been told, "Oh, we got dinner plans." With who? Well, this guy, the podcast I listen to all the time, that guy. And I can imagine her reaction will be like, "Oh, God, we're going to New Orleans and we got to go sit down with some sports nerd for 2 hours when we got all this other stuff we can do at Bourbon Street." So I feel like she sat down not really warm to the idea, and I could be completely misreading the situation. But I had Stephanie with me. And after 20 minutes, Stephanie, they're like best friends, and she's having a great time. She's already invited them up to use her house for game weekends. That's how Stephanie rolls. But yeah, they were a lot of fun. Everybody we met was very kind and a lot of fun.
How'd you do at the tables?
I did all right at the tables, Aslan, but like I said, I lost all my money on the LSU bet. Oh, sorry, the FSU bet, but I lost a lot of money there. But I did all right at the tables, man. It was fun. I got to see James B for a little bit. It was slammed, as you can imagine. Thursday night it wasn't. But Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night even was completely slammed after the game. So, but we did a good time. We had a good time, man. I thought we did New Orleans right.
All right. Tinder story on the way out. It's been a long time, everybody.
Yes, man. You got to get to this. This was awesome.
We'll give you a Tinder story.
Tell him too, because I want to know what happened on Friday brunchish too.
Okay, so
yeah.
Was that Friday? Yeah,
I think that was Friday because I didn't see you at all on Friday.
Yeah. So this dating game, these apps, everybody, it's like Deadliest Catch. You drop the pots into the murky waters out there, and you got to kind of let them sit there for a little bit. You got to let them soak, if you will, and then you pull them up and you see what you got. So, I hit New Orleans on Thursday. Wasn't a lot of bites, but then I wake up Friday morning and I had a couple bites. And there was this one young lady I matched with, and we're going back and forth real quickly. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna actually go grab brunch if you want to meet up and have brunch. And she's like, yeah, sure. And she's like really spunky and like sharp and funny and sarcastic and witty. I'm like, all right, cool. At worst, at least I'll have somebody cool to hang out with while I'm having my brunch. because who wants to eat by themselves? Although I really don't mind it. I'm in and out, get sit at the bar, get served. It's great. I meet up with her, and she's just very, very awkward, just not nearly as bubbly and effervescent as she was. There's some other things there that I don't know. I don't want to go into because I might sound like I'm a jerk, and I'm not a jerk. I'm not a nice guy either, but I'm not a jerk. I have a good heart, I think, when it comes down to it. But basically, it's a really horrible brunch date. Just really awkward. Could not get out of there fast enough. Didn't really look. I mean, I was kind of having to squint at the photos to convince myself it would be okay. Because for as weird and picky as I am, I can see one good photo in like a 5-photo lineup and see 4 bad ones. And I'm like, all right, she probably just doesn't realize she doesn't look good in those photos. But she looked really good in that one photo. That's what she looks like all the time, I'm sure. Which you figured by this time I would have figured out that's not how it works, Aslan. But, it was like, so there wasn't any physical attraction, horrible conversations, get me out of there. I'm walking back to my hotel, and I end up matching with this other young lady.
You texted me by the day, or you texted Stephanie and I both, pretty horrendous brunch date, gang, but we persevere and move ahead.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And I matched with this other young lady who lives in town. She asked me what I'm in town for. She realized I'm there as a tourist. I am there on a work function. I do not live there. And we quickly just start going back and forth trading messages. I'm like, let me go ahead. I'm like, hey, you want to come to this work function for me? I'd love to show you off. I'm being really charming. I'm doing all the things you have to do to secure the company of a young woman in this day and age where it's very competitive out there.
Right.
And she's like, well, you want to go grab lunch? I'm like, sure. She's like, meet me at this hotel. There's a pool that's really awesome. We'll have drinks and we'll hang out. So, I go to the shopping mall because I didn't bring swim trunks with me because I'm not planning on going swimming in New Orleans. I, walk to a mall, buy swim trunks, get on the streetcar, go to Uptown, and it's this really cool hotel called, Chloe is the name of the hotel. They make a drink called the Chloe Dancer. It's actually really good. The women love it.
That's clever.
So I meet up with this lady, at a hotel at this pool, and it's really cool. We're drinking, we're hitting it off. She's in a bathing suit, looks all right. Everything's going good. Everything's going solid here. But then, she lets a couple of hints about, hey, listen, I don't hook up. I don't do that. That's not how I work. I don't do one-night stands. And I'm like, well, I don't live here. I don't like what you want from me. But I don't say that, but I'm kind of working away around it. Anyhow, we have drinks. It's a great afternoon, hanging out in the pool. We make friends with everybody at this pool and everything. And then she's like, well, hey, do you want to have dinner? And I'm like, okay, I guess. We go back to her place between the pool and dinner. Adult things happen. And we go to dinner. We go to dinner in the quarter. Before we go to dinner in the quarter, I'm at her house, obviously. She's got this old dog. She loves her dogs. She loves her dogs, which I don't love dogs. She can't stop talking about her dogs.
You don't hate dogs. You're just not in love with dogs. You're not a dog person.
I'm not a dog person, yeah. So, the one dog just won't stop barking at me and keeps barking. I can smell its breath, and it's horrible. I'm like, let me get out of here. Sure, let's go to dinner. We go to dinner, and she picks this really expensive restaurant. And I'm like, oh, boy. We're talking $180 Wagyu steaks. Right. And she's like, oh, heavens of Betsy, I didn't realize this place was so expensive. And I'm like, well, just to be honest with you, I'm like, we're splitting the bill here. I'm not footing the bill on this. And she's like, oh, okay, that's fine. And as we're leaving the restaurant, she's like, hey, do you want to see my shop? It's right next door. And at this point, I should have been like, She didn't know this was an expensive restaurant, despite the fact that it was literally next door to her place shop that she owns. So, things aren't matching up here. So she's kind of telling me one thing and then knows something else. And I'm like, okay, so we go check out her shop. It's actually a really nice shop. And then, she spends the night at the hotel. Next
you probably
day,
don't want to give the name of the shop, though, huh?
I don't. No, we're gonna protect the name of the innocent here.
Yep.
And then, we go back to the hotel, spend the night. Next day, she's like, hey, am I coming to your work function? I'm like, actually, you know what? Let's not do that because it's probably a little bit too much for whatever's going on. But hey, let's grab a drink later tonight. Is that cool? She's like, absolutely. She gives me the address to a bar around the quarter. But I'm like, man, that if she comes all the way up here to the Quarter, that means I'm going to have to hang out there all night. I want to hang out with you and anybody else that was going to be in town at the French Quarter. I did my thing, man. I'm only here for a few nights. We had a really awesome day. We had a really good date Friday night. Let's just shake hands and go our separate ways. But I don't do one-night stands. That's not how it works. So then I don't want to be mean. I'm like, all right, we'll create this illusion that we're going to fall in love then. But I'm not going to have you come all the way up here to Bourbon Street for a couple drinks because then you're going to want to linger around and it's going to create issues. So I'll come to you. So I get on the streetcar again, and I'm taking the streetcar to visit her. It's like 8:30. It's late at night. Well, not late at night, but it's nighttime. And I'm on the streetcar. It's like a 30-minute commute, and my phone rings. And I'm like, all right. And I answer the phone, and it's her. And it's just, I'm like, hello? And it's silence. I'm like, hello? And I hear her sobbing. And I'm like, hello? What's up? She's like, my dog just died. Mm-hmm. My dog just died, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna come help you move the body? I don't know what to do. And like, it doesn't affect me. It's not my
you
dog.
go give her a shoulder to cry on, right? That's.
I don't want to be a shoulder crying. I'm a tourist in New Orleans.
Right.
So I'm like, what am I gonna do? How do I get out? So I tell Corey and Stephanie, I'm like, you don't even. I can't even tell you what happened. It won't make sense. So I go to her house, and, like, I get it, whatever. She just got home. She found her dog dead, tells me first thing. I understand, such is life. So I get dropped off on the streetcar. I got to walk 10 minutes to her house from the stop, and I get there, and she already has a friend over that's, like, helping console her, and they're talking. I mean, the dog is dead in the bed, the dog bed next to her bed. And the friend is like, we're going to have to go move the dog into another room. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then the girl's like, actually, as weird as this sounds, it brings me comfort to see her next to my bed. I don't want to do that yet. It's Saturday night. It's Labor Day weekend. I can't get her cremated. So I'm just going to kind of leave the dog in her bed next to my bed. And the friend's like, okay, are you sure? And the friend's like, all right, I'll let you guys go on your date now, and leaves. I'm like, I don't want to go. We're going to go on a date still? And she's like, I just want to be numb and get away from things. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So, like, we go out and have a drink, and then she starts telling me how her day was. Well, turns out she had a friend in town. They went out, had a big time during the afternoon while we're at the Howlin' Wolf having a big time, Corey. And they get back to her house at like 3 in the afternoon. And guess what she found out when she got home at 3 in the afternoon, Corey? Her dog was dead.
Yep.
Her dog was dead 5 hours.
She could have told you earlier.
She could have told me. What do you do? It goes back to the whole thing about the restaurant. I didn't know the restaurant was expensive. How? It's next door to your place of employment. Surely you've walked by and looked at their menu and seen how expensive it was. Like withholding all these little sort of things from me. But yeah, she knew the dog had been dead for hours and didn't wait to tell me until and the whole time, every time I went to see her, the 2 times, Friday and Saturday, I'm like, I'm waiting for the streetcar. I will text you when I'm on the streetcar. I texted her I was on the streetcar, and then like 5 minutes later she calls me to tell me the dog is dead. And like she wants to spend, she's numb and needs company. And I'm like, listen, I understand you don't want to have a one-night stand. That's not the way you operate. Like I'm totally, I'm here hanging out with you, but like I am going back to hang out with my friends tonight because this is my last night in town. And
See, can't you lie right there and just say, man, I've got to do something with my boss. I've told him I'd be hanging out with him at 10:30. I've got to go back to my boss.
I guess I could have, but I just at that point I was angry. I was a little bit angry, man. I was a little bit angry. I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to preserve feelings. I was kind of a little bit upset. A little bit upset.
How was the funeral? Was it a good service for the dog?
I don't know. Who knows? But
so what did her reaction to that was not probably positive.
Well, no, she was like,
you told her.
Well, she's like, no, I get it. It's fine. She thought she had this party she had to go to Saturday. So she was like, oh, I won't be able to go to your party. And then she's like, actually, I can. I'm available. I'm like, uh-oh. But that party got moved to Sunday, so she was like, oh, I got to get ready for it anyway. So it worked out fine. We had a couple drinks, and then I walked her back to her house, and then I got an Uber, and I met up with you guys. So that worked out. But it was just like, she's like, I'm like, listen, I don't want to have – who's saying anything about a long-distance relationship? But, like, I we should still keep in touch and talk and see what happens. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And, I mean, again, this is why I'm going to probably die a lonely man. People think I'm a jerk or whatever. But that's what it's like, everybody. One of the guys, dude, I'm married. I love hearing your stories. It's awesome. Don't let Corey make you feel bad. But I'd rather be married, everybody. I'd rather be married and have my own crazy lady making me crazy every day rather than, just 20 different women.
I'm just saying, if you're not really a dog person, you might want to think about this one in New Orleans because she just lost one of them. So that's one down. If you don't want to be around dogs, that's a possibility, man. You can't give up. You can't give up, man. You must have liked her you liked her. So that's and my issue was always I was very clingy, very very.
I don't
Very
know what
early,
to say.
I became clingy. I guess it's not a problem. I got Steph, so it worked out, baby. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not out there in those streets with you, buddy. I don't think I would do well.
Anyhow,
I like that you don't mind not being the nice guy. Like I would always have a problem because I think I would just be like, yeah, I guess we'll move in. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll quit my job. I'll move in with you. It's all
Sure,
right.
that's fine.
Oh, jeez. All right, that is a wrap for us. Hopefully that brought some joy to some of you. Thanks to Corey for giving us all his information. Per usual, he will be with us, as always, for a live show. We'll do that Thursday. We'll be live, 6 o'clock.
And Renegade Express tomorrow, right?
Correct. So go to warchant.com. Subscribe if you haven't already. Literally, it's going to end soon. We don't know exactly when, but, like, connect the dots, everybody. They've won games. They're good now. We don't need to bend over backwards to have you come to our website because it's already awesome. But join us. It'll be great. He's Corey.
I wish that the New Orleans woman had a. I wonder if she has her own podcast. I'd love to hear her side of everything.
She's gonna. What are the odds she's gonna listen to this show? I don't even know if I should.
You did tell her what you did, right? So there might be there's a percentage chance, probably not a high one, but there's at least
she
3
knows.
to 5%.
She literally, when we started texting, sent me a screenshot of the Warchant report video on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, I want you to. I don't know her name. I guess I'll never meet her.
Right.
But I just want you to know that I'm on your side. I'm not on Aslan's side. I'm on your side, unnamed woman. Because trust me, I've been with this guy for 5 years. I know the drill. I know the deal. So better luck next time.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.